Hi, this is Deborah Dachinger, and welcome to Dare to Dream. It's great to have you here, and I'm always excited about the conversations we're going to have. So, if you want to reach me, go to DeborahDachinger.com. You know how to spell Deborah, right? Deborah, and the last name is Dachinger.com. Also, Twitter, go to Deb on the Radio, Facebook fan page, Dare to Dream, radio and TV. Tons of ways to hear all the archived interviews. And, of course, YouTube, Deb on the Radio. What fun. So what are we going to talk about tonight? Here, we're going to do some metaphysical aspects of our dreams coming true. What does that mean? We're going to take the saying, whatsoever you desire, ... Because, that's biblical. Did you know that? The Bible is full of metaphysics. Oh, indeed. So Mark 11:24 said, whatsoever you desire, believe you have received it, and you will. That's the principle we're going to talk about. Believe you have received it, you will. So to say it another way in today's English, basically whatever you ask for in thought, in word, or in prayer, believe that you have already received it, and it will be yours. Not bad, right? Not a bad payoff. So what's a belief? We're talking about beliefs. Believe you will receive it. What does a belief mean? Well, a dictionary describes a belief as a certainty or a conviction. A belief is an acceptance of or a confidence in. A power, actually, that something's going to happen. So it's knowing something's going to happen without actual proof or former knowledge that it's going to happen. That's a whole different kind of certainty. You can't see it yet, but you go, but I know, but I know, but I know, but I know that I know that I know. If you want to feel affluent or confident or powerful, assume the role of somebody who already is affluent, powerful, confident. And if you make believe, you will start experiencing that. I recently heard a man being interviewed. He's a legit guy, and he was being interviewed on the radio, and it was actually an amazing interview because he was talking about this very principle. He teaches it and he works with it all the time, but he took it to a level I'd never heard of before. It wasn't just the level that you and I talk about, maybe acquiring things or getting your dreams come true or going out and making things happen, like being of service to people. He was talking about it with talents and gifts. Aha, how interesting. So literally, this guy said that he declared had never taken a piano lesson in his life, and he declared, I'm a piano player. I'm a composer and a piano player. He chose to believe it so strongly that he went out and he bought an inexpensive electronic piano. And he played for us on air what he had written and actually played. I mean, it wasn't just notes. It was chords we're talking. It was chords. It was an entire song. And I sat back as a musician and a singer and listening to it and going, he's not going to go on tour, this guy, or anything. But for someone who's never taken a lesson, he's good. He did the same thing with singing. He said, I'm a singer. He declared it. And he said, and I believe 100% I'm a singer. Yeah? So with never taking a singing lesson, he sang for us. He apparently goes out sometimes and just starts singing. And I thought, that's really impressive. The power of the mind is amazing, what it can do. So he assumed the role of and took on the qualities of and became that. Where are you with that in your life? Where do you need to assume more of that? To actually feel a desire, you will experience a desire as if it were here, now, in this moment, real. And here's the idea. You think from your desire instead of thinking of your desire. Thinking of your desire creates separation and puts it here. Thinking from, as though it's already embodied here, it's from, as though through the filter of, I already have this. You don't passively sit and just imagine and wish. You actually actively step into and say thank you. Thank you that it's already here. That's awesome. You become a multimillionaire on the outside after you first become one on the inside. I remember the wonderful story, you may know this, about Jim Carrey, the actor, who was a nobody. He was an unknown and an unworking actor. However, Jim Carrey understood and still understands intimately metaphysics. He wrote himself a check for $20 million made out to his name, and he'd go sit on a hilltop in Los Angeles, and he would close his eyes and envision being paid that. Well, you know his story. He started out in a small TV show called In Living Color, and before you knew it, he started making films, and very soon he was being paid he was one of the first actors, $20 million. Great. He saw it, he became it first, and then it happened. There was a philosopher and a metaphysician whose name was Neville Goddard. Neville was born in 1905 in Barbados, and Neville, who wanted to be an actor, moved to Manhattan. Now Neville, just so you know the end of his story, he became one of our first metaphysicians. He was an incredible thinker. And so if you don't know about him, look him up. He's really fascinating, and things he says is fantastic. But back in the day, it was 1933, he was completely depressed because he was sort of getting jobs as an actor and then not. So money, no, and he was really broke. He was totally broke and really depressed. It wasn't really working out for him. So he started seeing this metaphysical mentor whose name was Abdullah, and he told him how much he wanted to go, and Abdullah was teaching him these principles I'm teaching you. And Abdullah said, live as though you were there, and that you shall be. So he started walking the streets of New York City, and Neville thought from his aim and assumed his feeling that he was already home. He kept telling himself, Abdullah taught me the importance of remaining faithful to an idea and not compromising. Now, if he wavered, Abdullah remained faithful to the assumption that he was already back in Barbados and had traveled first class to go home. Things were looking bleak. It wasn't happening, but darn, he kept the faith. And all of a sudden, a December morning came around, and it was literally right before the last ship was to depart New York that year for Barbados. That day, Neville received a letter from a long out-of-touch brother, and in it was $50, back when it cost that, $50 and a ticket to sail. The experiment worked. Neville would later write, "You attract what you believe to be true." So let me illustrate the power of imagination by sharing a story about, this is a true story, 17-year-old Norwegian boy. His name is Magnus Carlsen. You may know about him already. He's amazing. Magnus is the world's greatest chess player right now, period. Yes? Magnus, when he's asked about what it feels like, because he's called the Mozart of chess, he just shrugs and goes, maybe, but I'm only doing what comes natural to me. And what Magnus means is he's given a gift, yeah? He was, as a child, given this gift, because even as a child, he was a master chess player, and he loves playing chess, so it's his passion. So you got two good things going there, and then he takes his gift without any resistance or hesitation, puts it out into the world, and what happens is, magique. Magique happens, right? When we do that, we excel. Now, what's so amazing about Magnus, let's keep adding to this. What's so amazing about Magnus is he plays 10 chessboards at one time. And he wins all 10. Let me add another thing. He doesn't play facing them and moving chess pieces. He sits with his back to the board. So you're back there playing me, right? You're back there facing me, I'm Magnus, and I'm facing this way, and I can't even see your board. And Magnus sits there and says, he just calls out the moves. Okay, this, then he goes to the next board, then he goes to the next board, then to the next board, and starts again after his opponent goes, and starts again after his, and he keeps going till he wins all 10 at once. Why do I share this? Because think about what's happening. When you ask Magnus, when people ask Magnus, like, how in the world do you do that? He says, imagination. I see every board. I see every board here, and I know on each board what's happening. Don't tell me your imagination is not very powerful, because I have something to tell you, and his name is Magnus Carlsen, honey. I'm telling you, So even playing blind, this 17-year-old has such a rich imagination that he wins without the benefit of sight. Now, you also know this name, Angelica Houston, yes? Actress. She's the daughter of the great director, screenwriter, actor John Huston. She was a model, and at the age of 28, she went to Daddy and said, you know what, Daddy, actually, I want to act. And Daddy said, don't you think you're a little bit old for that, honey? Angelica gave up the dream. Like, it smashed her dream. Well, she didn't have a lot of confidence at the time. And shortly thereafter, she was driving on Coldwater Canyon in Los Angeles at dusk, when all of a sudden a BMW coming the other way was too fast, clipped the car in front of her, and created this incredible car accident. She was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Hospital, and she started to have surgeries. for a long operation. And Angelica was recovering, and she remembers this incredible surge of positive energy that said, you have made it through this. This is a new beginning. And while Angelica was in the hospital, all she can remember thinking is, I am so strong. I'm strong. So those moments gave her a confidence and a power like she had never felt before in her life. And she began to view herself, right, view herself as a conqueror. As soon as she felt like a conqueror, after she was released, she went for it. She decided, I'm going to be an actress. I want to do it. I'm going to be it. And she started making these incredible strides, and she started getting her own paychecks for acting. She says she literally woke up in that hospital, and she said, honey, life is short. I better get my life in gear now, the moment I get out. And so she did. And she knows still to this day that she has to address problems because even 3 years ago, her beloved husband, Robert, died after a very intense illness. And she, Angelica Houston, was able to work through the grief to get to the other side just to keep going. She knew what to do. And she knows now she can conquer everything. That still stays with her. There's the African-American political analyst by the name of Donna Brazile, and she talks about really sage advice that she got from her mother growing up. Donna would come home upset over things that the kids at school had said to her about her hair, or her clothes, or any part of her manners. And her mother would say, it's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. It's not what they call you, it's what you answer to. Never, remember never, I tell you, never let anyone define you, and never answer to anything you don't own. You can always ask yourself, if something happens like that, who does this belong to? And you'll know the feeling, if it's light or if it's heavy. If it's heavy, honey, it's not yours. It belonged to somebody else and you just picked it up. And if any remarks or behavior or situation come at you that don't belong to you, well, return it to sender with love attached. Dare to dream and dare to make all your dreams come true. Remember, imagine it. Think from it. Be it now, whatever it is you choose to be, and live from that space. There's so many stories in our history of amazingly successful people, and you, my darling, can and will be one of those too. Dare to dream.